My name is Sam Brukhman, and I'm part of the team at Async Art. It's always really wonderful to get to talk with artists who come on our platform that are already crypto enthusiasts and that, have the training and have the background in tech that are entering into the arts. It's really exciting today to be able to already get to talk with an award-winning photographer who's won awards from 2013 up until today, studied all over Europe and the UK and beyond, and traveled all over the world with his photography. Tony, it's great to have you here. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me.
So Tony, let's sort of start out and give the audience a little bit of background about you. Can you tell us about what got you into photography?
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a bit of a long process because I've been in art since when I was very little, because I was creating and very creative, but until I was 19 years old and I finished the secondary school, art was not part of what I was doing. So at 19, I moved to London and I started to study design, graphics, fine art, and the whole process moved from there. And then I don't remember the exact year, it's probably around 2000, 2001, I moved out of London and I traveled for about a year around the world. Then I came back to Italy and started my own design agency for about 8 years. And then 2008 came with a big crisis and all things went down. So I closed the agency and I started working freelancing. That gave me the opportunity to get the time to decide to move into photography full time. So photography, to answer your question, started early, but as a professional photographer, as a full-time job, started in 2011, 2012. And I took a couple of years to just develop my skills and everything. And then I went on to do what you see on my website, documentary and other stuff.
One of the great things that you are sort of a product of is the fact that, if you put a lot of effort into something and you really devote your craft, you can achieve it. And in fact, you say that you started in 2011. Well, your first prize photo competition was in Canada was in 2013. So it took you 2 years to really develop that and start getting recognized.
Yeah.
Amazing. Really, really great. So you have these styles that are street photography and landscape photography and documentary photography. Is there a particular style or trademark that ties in everything together? Is there like sort of, what is it that inspires you to do those all sorts of different styles there?
When I go for the documentary stuff, and I go to bad places, hard places, difficult places, like in the slums in Nairobi and places like the Gaza, in the Palestine and everything, all those places, it takes a lot out of you as a photographer. So I need to take some months to do something which is completely different. And I move into fine art, I move into landscape, I move into street photography, something that relaxes me. So this is nothing tying things together. Is being able to switch between one and the other that gives me the opportunity and the ability maybe to do different things.
You've won over 9 awards for Beauty in Hell. It's, and these awards all come from different countries, from Paris to Vancouver to Los Angeles to Dubai, all the way to Tokyo. And that's just the beginning. Now, moving into this piece that you're sort of selling on Async. And speaking of that, you have a piece of that right in back of me. Let's talk about this because the piece is called "The Quiet of Silence," and it's a triptych. And in parentheses it says Wabi Sabi. So these are three things that I really want to touch on. Let's start with the concept of Wabi Sabi. What exactly is Wabi Sabi, and why is it written in the piece?
The Wabi Sabi was a series that I spent about 3 months around Japan, going around to study this form of philosophy they have, which is a kind of aesthetic, quintessential aesthetic that they do have, is the beauty of those things that are imperfect, impermanent, incomplete. The things that are, Japanese are very famous around the world for being modest, quiet, relaxed, and not showing off all the time. So that is something I wanted to freeze in the images, to make it like something that was fixed there in some photos.
And on a physical level, just because I love tea and I love Wabi Sabi as it is applied to tea, when you look at mugs that are purposefully broken and then pieced back together and basically glued shut with gold.
Exactly.
It's beautiful, and you can actually see pieces of that in this work because these are three different images. They're three different pieces within a master that are sort of like put together. They're glued together for better or for worse, creating a certain aesthetic, creating a certain artistic image, and that's really beautiful. There's a lot of value in that, and that's really awesome. So it's embodying not just in philosophy but also in physicality the idea of Wabi Sabi, and in execution as well.
And you got exactly the point of what I was saying. But I had the chance with what you guys put up as a platform to do exactly what I wanted to do, and complete the idea of a Wabi Sabi, which was you can break things but still make them even more beautiful than what the original is. And what they do with that gold, I've seen some pieces when I was there, and at the first I didn't understand it, but I was starting to understand it. But a broken thing, if it's put together in a better way, is even better than the original. Is an advancement, is a creative process, and that is beautiful. I just love it.
So let's talk about the technicalities of the artwork. So the artwork itself, there's one master and there are three layers. Within those three layers, there are the buyer of the layers can switch to different parts of the image, and we have acceptance of transients 1 through 3. Each are priced sort of differently depending on what they have in their scene. Acceptance of transients 3, for example, is sort of like the background, and you can see the water and the background image. Acceptance of transients 2 is varies. Sometimes it's a boat, sometimes it's
the main subject in the middle.
Exactly, it's the main subject in the middle. And acceptance of transients 1 is overlying little details, whether it's a man fishing or a duck.
The foreground.
Exactly, the foreground. So each one of these has a very particular function, and can be changed on all three images. Can you talk a little bit more about the idea behind having the foreground, the background, the center of the image, and why you chose to do it this way rather than doing something like, having different total images scroll in between?
Yeah, it's a very good question because it goes into what photography is. photography, when you get into photography at a certain level, photography is mainly foreground, middle ground, and background, and the relation between the three. The way you move yourself, you move the camera, and the way the things move in front of your eyes. So these three are normally the three main elements that compose a picture. You can go more into it and even divide each part into three, but that is a different matter. So the idea of, because at the beginning I was thinking, should I make these three as foreground, main subject, background, or should I make it as piece one, piece two, piece three, changing, which was a question I had in my mind. And then it came to me that what photography is, and photography is foreground, middle subject, main subject, and background. When you play with those, and especially all the thousand of pictures I took around this lake, they are all about the same kind of shots, because I was working on the same kind of landscape, same kind of natural background, and I had the same kind of perspective. So when I saw all the photos, I understood that I could make a piece where everything looked smooth and in equilibrium. And it didn't look like, oh, you just stuck something there for no reason. So that was a nice thing. And that is why I love your platform, because I have so much work that is put there and I cannot use. And now maybe I could use it in the future. And that is a great thing.
Well, and sort of bringing this all back to talk about the idea of Wabi Sabi and the title of the piece, which is The Quiet of Silence. It's these objects and this foreground and these items that are customizable, that are the quiet of that silence. The silence for me, when I look at this, is the silence is the water, it's the background, it's sort of the peacefulness that is sort of imperfectly penetrated by these different little aspects, whether it's a boat or a boy fishing or a duck and so on and so forth. And so that's the beauty of this. Not only is it embodying the idea of Wabi Sabi physically, it's also embodying it within the photograph. And that's like, this is the entire brilliance of this piece, in my opinion. Am I even getting close to what you were intending for this?
You are spot on, because I mean, what you said is that whenever you watch it, whatever states are changed, and you can see all of them on my website, because I put all the 216 states on the website, you will see that somehow they give you an idea of peace, of calmness, of tranquility, and that is typical of the Japanese way of life. And you exactly got it. I mean, okay, even if you go to Tokyo and it's crazy, but still there is a kind of peacefulness in the way they go around, which we from the Western world, we don't have that. And I love that idea. And you are exactly right. So when I took all those shots, I was in a state of mind of you want to call it Wabi Sabi, you want to call it quietness, you want to call it calmness. It doesn't matter. That is the idea. And the possibility to now put different pieces on the same shot and change them, but without modifying the final feeling. That I loved it for myself, you know, for not because of selling it, but because I just love it, the way it came out, and that was something I really liked.
What you have been trying to express here is very clearly seen. It's very clearly understood. And it's understood so much so that it's not even been 24 hours and you've already sold the master.
That was amazing. That was crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And all that's left are these 3 layers, these 3 layers: acceptance of transience 3, 2, and 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, get it while it's hot. Acceptance of transients 1 through 3 are still available. The master is not. We expect that these 3 layers are going to be bought up relatively quickly. So get it as soon as you can. And if you've missed it by the time that you see this interview, then make sure to tune in, because it sounds like Tony has a lot more in store with his releases. Tony, if viewers want to see your artwork and sort of what you're doing, what you're up to, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me both on my website, which is on the description in the pieces. Also on Instagram is still my name. Just put it together, you'll find me. Also, you can check LinkedIn.
Tony, it's been awesome to talk with you today, and so thankful to have you on here. Thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure, absolutely. And thank you very much, Sam. You've been very helpful.